Hello, welcome to American History 2 Online, and I'm your instructor, Anthony Dunn. I'm looking forward to being your mentor this semester and working with you as we explore themes in modern American history. So there's a large scope to this course, whether it be from themes in Reconstruction, the post-Civil War era, to the rise of industrialization or the rise of a consumer society in the 1920s, the Great Depression, World War II, civil rights, modern themes of us becoming a world power. So this is a broad course, right? There's a lot of not only information to address, uh, and a lot of themes that are just relevant to our current lives. So the good news, though, is that while that does sound like an ominous type amount of information to address, we could be in World Civilization One, where the course looks at those types of themes, but from the beginning of man to 1500 AD for the entire world. So while we have a large and ambitious topic, what we're going to do is try to make it manageable and also a valuable experience for you. And to do that, what I'd like to do is just take a moment to talk about the course learning objectives and what we're ultimately trying to achieve this semester. There are three categories of learning objectives that we are going to be focusing all assignments, all activities, and building the entire course and learning experience to helping achieve or strengthen. The first of these categories is just historical knowledge, and that is students will need to be able to identify key themes in American history, to demonstrate an ability to articulate and outline fundamental social, religious, and political, cultural, and or economic concepts that are foundational to understanding these key themes. So at the end of the semester, I hope that students have developed a better, a stronger ability and a wider understanding of key concepts that are important in the development of modern America and relevant to our lives. But more importantly than just understanding or getting to know more information is learning how to engage in that information in a more valuable and meaningful way. So one of the more important course learning objectives for this class has to do with historical comprehension and analysis. And that is students will need to be throughout the semester developing, that is sharpening their ability to identify and articulate causal relationships between historical events in the context of those key themes of modern America. So not only do we need to be able to identify key themes in America's 20th century history, we need to be able to understand the causal factors that shape those events and also relate to the legacy of those events and how they relate to our current lives. So we'll be focusing on our ability to comprehend these topics and to analyze this historical material and trying to find added value. Students will also be asked to distinguish competing historical interpretations of the past and in periods of modern America. So we see the meaning of past events and the causal factors that created those circumstances and the legacy differently as time goes on. These are fluid in the historical mind, and that is what we will be doing is trying to see how people who are looking at these events also over time start to change their interpretations or evolve and add to those interpretations. So that's going to be another course learning objective. Students will also need to be able to define, distinguish, and categorize primary and secondary historical sources. A critical component of this course, students will be asked to engage with historical data, and we need to start thinking about these sources and how we should interact with them and how the value of those sources is often shaped by the type of source they are, and the goals of those sources. Students, though, most importantly, we will be focusing on the student's ability to not only demonstrate, but to enhance their historical literacy. And historical literacy is a topic that you will be exposed to in the first module. But the key to this course is, how do we look at the past? How do we engage with historical data to find meaning, value, and relevance to our lives? And that is, the entire process and study of history is surrounding the concept that we do it because it's relevant to us. It may help us better understand the society we live in. It may better help us identify aspects of our society that we like, or the origins of things that we dislike. But ultimately, studying history is a process and a practice, not just the affirmation or recognition of information. So this all culminates in the final learning objective, which is historical synthesis and analysis. Throughout the semester, students will be asked to demonstrate an ability to use historical sources to formulate historical questions, synthesize historical data, and create historical interpretations in written argument. So, if we look at these learning objectives, what I think you'll see is that we're focusing on, in this course, the development of a skill set. And in American history is the Play-Doh, or the building blocks or the tools we have to work on that skill set. And that is, we're going to be looking at themes in American history. We're going to be trying to develop your ability to engage in historical information related to those themes. And then, most importantly, we're going to be working on developing your ability to engage in a meaningful way and to create historical interpretations of your own that focus on the meaning, the value, and relevance of the historical process. So before we get into some of the navigation of the course, let me just talk a little bit about pedagogy. I can confidently say that you have not taken a class like this before. And the reason I can say that is because I've built it from every activity, every letter I've created with these course learning objectives in mind. Now, what I've done is I sat down and I said that students, they need and they want an active learning process, one that is engaging, one that shows almost, in many ways, the fun side of academics. What we're going to do is try to create a unique environment where you and I work together in this process. Well, what I've done is I've themed this course. The course is all built around this concept of a theoretical newspaper. It's called American History Learner. Just think American History Learner is our class. I'm the editor, and you're going to be working for me throughout the semester. And just think of this, as we're using this theme of American History Learner to create an active learning experience. What I'm going to ask you to do is to adopt a role play attitude and theme in this course, where you are a journalist who starts as an intern at American History Learner. And what we're going to do throughout the semester is, at our newspaper, we'll be covering intensively some of these historical concepts that I've outlined earlier. So each assignment is going to have a little nuance to where, hey, I'm the editor, here's your assignment, I need you to do this, and you're the journalist, and we're going to publish this in the newspaper. Now, to disarm you, one of the things that students, and some feedback I get a lot, is that I didn't sign up to take a journalism class. I signed up to take a history class. Well, the good news is this isn't a journalism class. And while we do use that theme when it comes to the course, the assignments, and even the title of the documents, I call it an employee handbook, right? I call the syllabus the company manual. Those are just all vehicles for us to practice history. And that every assignment, every module is really and truly focused on asking historical questions about American history, engaging in historical material, and developing historical interpretations. So, if just do not get too hung up on the journalism aspect and just think of this is that you're going to be a historian this semester. And that is, you're going to do what historians do. They ask questions about the past, they evaluate historical data, and then they try to develop interpretations that find meaning, value, and relevance between the past and our lives. So there is going to be a theme. You'll see more. You'll see a ton more in the internet course tutorial about how this theme will work. But just know this is an American History 2 survey class. And while we're trying to have some fun with the active learning process, we are still practicing history at every turn. If you still have questions about the theme and some of the processes, all of that information is outlined in the internet course tutorial or employee handbook. But before we delve into those resources and before you start getting into the weeds, should we say, of all the course material, let's take a look around the course to kind of explain how things are going to work, what some of the main features that you can look forward to, and how you can plan to engage in this course to get the most out of it. So let's go ahead and take a look around the class and some of the features to expect.
The course is broken into modules. You can access these on the left. Now, these are restricted by date to make sure that students don't work too far ahead. We need to do this together. In this first module, course resources, this is where you can find um, the tools that we'll be using to communicate throughout the semester. First, I will be posting weekly, often maybe even more frequently at times, course announcements outlining some of the things to expect at that moment, some of the things we're working on, and some opportunities for students to make the most of the course. There's also this wonderful feature called the virtual office, and the virtual office is a space where we can interact as a class. The kind of way to raise your hand and ask a question to me and the class as a whole. Now, this is a space for us to work together. Make sure though that questions that need to be private are asked via email, but questions that you think could help the class as a whole, help your fellow students experience. This is a great place to come in, leave a discussion, right? And we'll make sure to interact and help you out through the course here in the virtual office. I'd love for students to make this an interactive feature throughout the semester. Now, you can also find some other resources provided by Pitt, tutoring, and some student resources here that relate to Moodle and the library. Now, the next part has to do with the course materials. This is where you're going to find all the real essential documents of the course. One with the Getting Started tab that tells you exactly how to start to progress in the course. So begin here with the Getting Started tab and then move on. Next, you'll see the American History Learner Company Manual or syllabus. This is where we have all the official statements of the course outlining the things that the college requires, but also the goals and the aspects of the course and the grading and various components that come in a syllabus. Next is probably the most helpful resource for you throughout the semester, and that is the intern/employee manual or internet course tutorial. In this course tutorial, we have a detailed outline of all the aspects of the course, each component, all the material, and all the expectations, whether it comes from interacting with fellow students or the teacher through email to required software. So you'll want to go ahead and make sure that you review these documents, but then complete the attendance quiz, which is a mandatory attendance quiz by the college that ensures your enrollment in the course. Now, this is a quiz that tests your knowledge of both the syllabus and the internet course tutorial. So be careful before you start this to go ahead and familiarize yourself with the course and make sure that you get it done by the deadline, or else sadly, the college will not let you continue if you do not take the attendance quiz by the appropriated date. Now, what to expect as we progress through the course when you get into a module. There's going to be 5 components to every module, 6 if you count the picture that I like to start off with to kind of just get those synapses firing about the past. But the first component has to do with not only this aspect that says when the module is going to run from and what it hopes to accomplish. So be sure to pay attention to the dates that the module spans from, because these are not just single week modules. Sometimes they span over 3 weeks. The module learning objectives right here are going to be all of the components that the module tries to do, both directly, indirectly, through graded assignments, and just through activity, right? So start here and know what you're trying to do before you try to do it. Next, all modules have module assignment directions, right? And I often so what this will do is this will tell you exactly what the major assignment for the module will be. There will be a major assignment. When I say major, is that the module is working towards this main submission, and all of the components leading up to that are oriented to that. So here, what you will see in the module directions is what that main assignment will be. Now, this is separate because the course uses what they call conditional release, which I've made it so you have to do certain things before you can submit that main assignment down here. So you'll see this is course modules start with module objectives and finish with the assessment, the major assessment. So the next component is each module has a group of resources that are compiled. Sometimes there's multiple resources. Sometimes we reduce this to just a few. In this case, this is a complex lesson. In this case, so there's several resources built into this. So the module assignment resources are everything you need to complete that assignment. The next component of each module is probably the most valuable component in some ways, or at least the greatest part of the learning process. I've compiled a series of writing assignments. These are broken down pre-writing assignments that are associated with your major assignment. We call these assignment notebooks. This is using the Moodle journal function, where you are going to be posed a prompt that is related to your assignment. You are going to enter, you're going to complete that shortened writing assignment, and this will be for a grade. And what I will be able to do is interact with you prior to the composition of your major assignment for that module. So think of this as the pre-writing in many ways that gets us ready for your assignment. Now, every module will be completed with that main assignment. I call it major. Not all of them have the highest stakes. They do progressively get more challenging and worth more throughout the semester. You can find out about the course weighting and grades in the internet course tutorial. But each part of these notebooks is really developing an aspect of that assignment. So, really pay attention to the feedback that I give for those assignment notebooks because they will help you maximize that experience and really be ready to master that main submission. So, every module culminates with that main assignment. You can find it at the bottom. In this case, it'll be using the assignment tool where you need to upload a word processor document, whether that be an RTF file, a Word file. I'm sorry, Mac users, no pages, please, dot pages files. But what you'll need to do, though, however, for all of these, for your ability to submit this assignment, you have to complete these requirements throughout the class, throughout the module. They are listed right here. It says not available unless the activity cover letter format example is marked complete. Cover letter goals, the assignment directions are part of that. So if you're having problems submitting assignment, what you need to do is make sure that you have accessed all the appropriate materials to unlock that assignment. And if you ever have a problem with something unlocking, try to manually click it because sometimes most of them are set to open to record when you've completed. But some of these functions are for you. So when in doubt, click the check mark and it may help. There's a troubleshooting section in the internet course tutorial that helps you, that discusses these components. So remember, the course will be, everything is submitted on Monday nights by 11:55. In the case of this module, what it does is runs for 2 weeks. The first week is dealing with these assignment notebooks. The second week is taking and applying that information and that feedback to compose that main assessment. Questions about that assignment, as well as they can all be answered in the assignment instructions, but also just to familiarize yourself with the feedback process. Students will be graded based on a rubric. Now, right before submission, what you'll want to do is look at the assignment submission. When you open this up, it will provide you a rubric that that assignment will be based on. That is going to be the criteria that your assignment will be assessed by. And what you can really see is this, is that if you apply those assignment notebooks properly, it's really hard to go astray. So start with, if you have any further questions about the navigation of the course, first see the internet course tutorial. Next, check out the virtual office and ask a question that may be helpful to a fellow student. And remember, I'm always available by email at ajdunn709@my.pittcc.edu.